Hi, welcome to the Unusual TV podcast, and this is Behind the Curtains. And today we are looking at Gen Z parenting style versus parenting of the old. I am Phoenix of Port Harcourt, and I have my lovely host here.
I'm Vivian Anthony.
And we also have an amazing guest joining us today for this session.
Yeah, my name is Perebo Adumo.
Welcome to the show, everybody.
Thank you, Phoenix. So, we're getting started real quick. Mr. P, allow me to call you that on set.
Awesome.
How was your upbringing like?
Wow. Should I call it a roller coaster? Okay. Funny, I grew up in a military home.
Whoa.
Yeah, my dad was a military personnel. He's retired now.
Okay.
So you should understand that there was a level of strictness in parenting.
Okay.
My dad was the kind of person, he will give you maybe a warning first time when you do something wrong. Second time, probably, but the third time, he won't spare you. He's going to beat the craze out of your head. You know, that thing that makes you keep doing the same thing he's telling you not to do, he will beat it out. So parenting was, should I say, a roller coaster? Yes, we had a joyful moment. Yes, we love our dad. But at the same time, no, we never wanted to be around him.
I am fascinated when you said that your dad will give you warning. I was never warned. You snooze, you collect, back to back for my mother. So how was your parenting like?
Being an only child, it was all eyes on you. And having two mothers, I would say, because my mom is there and then my mother's older sister. So, like, you feel some kind of need to do better at every chance. Okay, and you're an only child, so there's pressure.
Okay, what were the things that you were told growing up that were not totally true? Or were not true at all?
Now I'm taking a while to even remember. Why? Because I'm one person that I think I left my childhood and I left it. No.
Oh, really? Why?
I've always believed in life continues, you know. So thinking of the things I was told, I think let me go down to academics. Go to school, get a good grade, and start working.
Okay.
Maybe I felt that's how life works.
Okay.
You know, but while university, I began to realize, life is way different. You know, and I began to notice, hey, you have to change some certain things.
Okay.
So, not like it was totally wrong, but based on where the society we find ourselves, things were getting outdated.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's not their fault. Probably then that was how life works. But I know today's parents still do that. You go to school and then you get a good job. Yes. There is never. Maybe some parents are incorporating learn a skill, entrepreneurship pays, encouraging you to multitask schooling and work. But some parents still believe in you have to go to school, get a good job, get a degree, and then you get a good job. For me, there were things that my parents said that were not true. My mom said, if any boy touch you, get pregnant. And I've been hugging a lot of persons that I'm not pregnant. But do you think our parents said those things to us just to
keep you
away from it, from that place of trying to watch you so you don't make some mistakes? Do you think they also had that thought of you grow up and find out that this thing is not true?
I can't really relate to that because my parents have always put it to me how it was. It's just the silliest things that they would tell me that I'll do, and this one would go bad. They would tell me, don't pick money on the road, you turn to yam. It's all those kind of things that they would tell me. Or if you wear too much rubber band, it will suck your blood. My mom would never tell me, don't hug a boy, because my mom knew that I was a bit of on the weird side. So I would really, right from time, I would always associate with my seatmates when I was younger were guys, so she wouldn't really. She just opened up and told me that this is how this is and this is how this works. So I already knew fully well how everything works. So there was no need to tell me if you hug this person you get pregnant.
Okay.
It was all the silly things that you would hear my mother say. If you don't do this in the morning, go to come and eat it from me. So that's the kind of thing my mom would say. She wouldn't tell me don't hug a boy or don't do this.
I think generally the parenting style of the old was more about
Keeping you away from
protection. You know,
things.
that they felt they were actually protecting us by not telling us things that,
way it was.
you know, and to them, hey, you're too young for it. You know, the average 12-year-old now knows way more than I knew when I was 18.
Sure.
Yeah. So they feel the less you know, the better it is for you. But actually, it's what you don't know that will kill you.
Yeah,
So,
it's true. Because if you knew more, then you'd have like the intuition that I should stay away from this. If people were educated back then that okay, don't smoke, don't do this because it's like this, people would actually stay away from it unless you are a headstrong person that there way then say make I no put leg, Nigeria I go put leg. So that kind of thing.
So there was a lot of don't do this without reasons.
Yes.
and let me say this. I think back then, majority of especially my colleagues learned about sex and the rest around them. I don't know, maybe when an NGO comes around to talk about sex, ABC, and then the funny thing is they will not give all the students condom. My friend, what are you expecting?
But
You give me condom to do what? It's to go and experiment.
And these things we were not told at
And
home.
we're not told at home.
Okay.
So
I think growing up too, we got to learn a lot of things out there that we were told in the house.
Yeah.
Like from your friends and maybe what you see or what you're told, because your family just your parents just keep a lot of information
Hidden away from you. Yes.
from you. I would also want to ask, what were the impacts of those upbringing you had now on you? Were there negative? Do you have some negative, some positive?
I would say they were majorly positive. You know? A lot of persons have said to me, you don't look like someone that grew up in the barracks. For one, they're expecting those that grew up in the barracks to be wide, and all that. But let me say this. The fear of my father kept me away from many things.
Okay.
Many things, I will not... I was never in a relationship till like probably my SS3. And guess what? It was the girl that checked me. So the fear of my father finding out anything kept me away from doing the wrong things.
Okay.
So even though it started with fear, but while growing up, I began to understand why I shouldn't do some certain things.
Okay.
And then, but I would say that's fear, even though I'm not a fan of children growing with fear. But that fear, or should I call it respect? But no, I'll call it fear. That fear kept me away from doing many wrong things. So,
but for some persons, that would have been a negative impact for them, because there are people who say, oh, there are guys who can't even approach a lady because they grew up being scared. They grew up hearing don't go into a relationship, and when they are ready to, they don't have that courage. Some parents will say don't talk to a girl, and then they lost that courage. Why some they end up being traumatized because of too much of fear. You don't even know if you're doing the right thing at every time, because every time you do a thing, just like you're being faulted, you're being flogged, that you're being yelled at. So it's made that child become traumatized from their parenthood. So this parenting experience we had, I think it has, depending on the child. Some persons, they end up being the same kind of parenting you have, the same I have. Me, it's a negative impact for me, and for you, maybe you're able to manage it.
You should just know the type of child you have. You should look at the attitude of your child and how everything that you do influences this particular child. Then you would know that I would do this and it would affect my child negatively. I would do this and it would affect my child positively. So,
but then, do you think that they get to know who we are as a child before?
Most of our parents don't even know who we are. Let me say the negative side of it. Getting into university I never felt good enough. How do I put it? I couldn't really stand in the crowd to talk until I began to metamorphose. If not, I had this fear. You know, I never felt my opinions were right because, sorry to say, like I said, my dad is loving, but at the same time, there was a fear whenever he was around. Whenever let's say we're in the sitting room with my mom or discussing, whenever let's say he comes, sometimes even from his horn, one by one, started
I have that kind of dad too.
Don't declare it.
I started leaving. I said, "Oh, I mean, we don't live with your husband. How we are gone."
Right. So looking at the parenting style today, and where we have kids in their 4, 5, 6 years, bold, some of them would even reject the opinion of their parents. Like they could say, "Oh, mom, I don't want to do this, dad, I don't want to do this," and probably the parent allow it fly. Do you think that because there's a lot of societal or moral decay now, and people think it's from today's parenting style? You hear, "Oh, then you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't wear this, you can't wear that," but these days parents allow their children, and behave this way or behave that way. Do you think these parents who are allowing their kids to do this had negative impact of their own parenting style, decided to just have a free hand with their children?
The thing is, whatever happens to anybody, the person can take it in two ways: replicate it or change. Now, there are always two extremes to these things. There are people who they grew up being beaten like they were criminals, and they're like, "If I can turn out right, my children, I will not spare it. You will eat the rod." Why they do is they say, no, the way my parents flogged me, I didn't like it, and therefore they give an over free hand. So, as parents, you will need to find the balance between these two. Truth be told, I am not married yet, but from my university days, I began to learn about parenting because I found out that the issue that a lot of parents have is the teenagehood phase. In fact, I even had to enroll in a course that was 20,000 naira as far back as 2015. Why? It was all about teenagehood, because that's where parents miss it. Maybe later I'll talk about the different styles of parenting. But the thing is, when we miss it at the teenagehood stage, we've missed it for life. And many parents, well, because I didn't like how I was groomed, they now give an over free hand, over freedom. Well, of course, the media also has many things to do with that too, but parents are to be held responsible for how their children turn out.
Oh, their parents actually did all they could, did their best, but then this particular child just choose to take his own path.
Parents are
and today society will look at that child and point a hand at their parents.
The parents are caretakers.
Don't you think we should sometimes, give parents some slack, because it may not be from them. Maybe you who's complaining about that child, if you had raised that child, the child would have been worse.
That's true. There have been cases where there are parents that to them, I have done my best. If it's to talk, I have talked. If it's to shout, I have shouted. If it's to flog, I have flogged.
Mr. Pray.
If it was pray, in fact, I am always in 9 VG because of this child. But I'm saying there are always exceptions to every rule.
Right.
There are always exceptions to every rule. Right? And there are parents who have done their best, but didn't find the outcome. But the truth is, this is a rare scenario.
Really?
Not when I say rare, okay, it may not be so rare, but I'm saying most times your children are a product of how you train them. It's on few occasions you find that parents have really tried, and most times what most parents feel that they have done their best is that I have shouted, I have they use only all the hard means, and feeling that using all these means will make this child be. But sometimes using those hard means even makes the child go thicker, develops a thick skin that, well, is it not flog? You flog me now. and that's finished. And some children have even learned how to live a double life. You want me to go to church? You will see me in all the services, but I also have a Friday life. I have another life you don't know. So most times that's also comes from that angle of we are always very. Let me enter the churchy part. Please.
I was even coming to that. I don't know. There's this saying that, or let's look at parenting in the godly home.
Yes.
Right? Why is it that some of those persons who come from this very godly home, the pastor's child, the deaconess child, they ended up even worse than the people who came out from the ghetto or no godly home? Is it that the godly parents forced religion or Christianity on the child, or what went wrong? Because there are some people you see be like, I can't believe your father or and there are some persons you see be like, is your father a pastor?
Okay, before I answer that, I've also seen children of wayward parents that turn out right.
Yes.
So what am I trying to say? There can be very good parents, very religious, but the children don't turn out to be like them. Sometimes it's because they feel all it takes is that we are praying, we are doing Bible studies, we are doing devotions. They don't really come to understand or know these children for who they are.
Okay.
If they are, yes, like I said, there are always exceptions, but mostly is the fact that they feel we are doing all the religious activities. God should be able to touch your heart. But beyond the religious activities, many parents don't have a one-on-one time with their children, be it pastors or not pastors.
They don't have that relationship with the child.
Another reason is because as a child himself is an individual. You are your own person. You've looked at your mom. Probably your mom is in the world and going to parties. You've looked at your mom, you sat down. When your mom comes back, your dad is always shouting. You think to yourself that if I can grow up and not do this kind of things, probably I will not turn out like this. If I can focus on something in my life and hold on to this thing, I will not be the type of person that my mom is. And you draw inspiration from trying not to be like your parents. For the godly home aspects, it has to just do with a sense of exploration. If I've always had this friend, I have this friend that always tells me that it's me that will carry my daughter and go to club. Like, I'll be the first person to take my daughter to a club. And there's a reason he says it, because if you carry your daughter and go to a club, no guy will come and say, Nkechi, let's go to club. Let me show you this lifestyle. You will tell, no, my father has shown me. I don't like it. It's not something I want to be doing. Because why? My parents have taken me there. I don't like the settings. I don't like the place. I am exposed to these things. Your parents will draw you and tell you, look at how this thing is. Look at how it is. You as an individual, you make the choice. Okay, I want to do this. Okay, I want to do that. While we are holding our children, we should also give them a choice, because at the end of the day, we are just their caretakers. We should give, do you want to go like this or you want to go like this? So as a godly parent, you're always telling this person, don't go to that place, don't follow this girl. You as a person, you want to know, why is my mommy telling me not to follow this person? Let me go and know why they will tell me. So in this place, that's where the children fall off and say, okay, you started following Juliet. Now Juliet is wearing boxers, she's wearing this, she's wearing that. You start doing that, and that's how you turn out to be a bad person. And then that kind of thing will happen.
It's nothing like, because some people think it's how the devil attacked the family.
No, it's not. It's you.
It's there, but you be the one to give the devil room.
Okay.
I watched a movie where a father took his daughter out on her 16th birthday.
Okay.
I won't forget that movie in a hurry. And he actually engaged his daughter. Like, he gave her a ring. They said, this ring should be with you until a worthy man comes to replace it. He had taught his daughter what it meant to be the daughter of a king. Now he has taught her all it takes, and now he says, whenever you see this ring, remember daddy. So until a worthy man comes to replace it, it may look just ordinary, but I got something out of it. That I should be my daughter's first boyfriend. If I treat her the way she should be treated, no man would use anything flashy to take her out. Treat her the way she should be treated. Teach her that she's a queen. Teach her she's a princess. Teach her who she's supposed to be. Let her find herself. Then there's nothing anybody else will do or say that will be so attractive.
That will move her, yes. That's the same opinion my friend has. Like, that's what you need to do. Because most children are attracted by what they see. And if you're constantly seeing these things at home, there's nothing that will make you want to go into that part. If somebody is always telling you, come, let's go to this place, come, let's go to, you'll be like, my mommy has taken me here, or my daddy has taken me to this place. I don't like the settings. Thank you very much. I will not go with you. That child has avoided something. You tell your child, avoid drugs, avoid drugs. You bring a scenario. Look at Uncle Wenga. He has been taking this thing. This is what happened to you. Don't just tell your child, avoid drugs, avoid drugs. If I see you with this thing, I'll beat you. You give the child a scenario. If it's somebody that stays around, or you show the child a movie, this is the repercussion of this thing. There are videos on the internet. You bring the child. Look at what cocaine does to someone. While I was growing up, there was this channel that I used to really enjoy on GoTV that is called Sonny Max, 1000 Ways to Die. That was where I learned the dangers of cocaine. Like, this is why you shouldn't take cocaine. It was on 1000 Ways to Die, because there was a guy that took cocaine with his girlfriend, liquid cocaine, and he killed them instantly because of brain trauma. So these are the kind of things you should show your children. This is the reason why I'm asking you not to do this. It's not because I don't want your happiness. I just want you to be safe. If you're telling a child not to do something, attach the reasons behind not doing these things.
Do you think that parents have the luxury of time to do all of this? Because you have to go to work, you have to make ends meet, you have to, foot the bills, do a lot of things. So do you think they can actually carry, and they still have their life too as a parent, so do you think they have the luxury of time to have this one-on-one relationship with their child, to expose them, explore with them, do all of this that you guys have recommended?
The question is, if you don't do it, somebody else will do it. And God bless you, there is someone that is not worth it, that teaches your child. On this part, it's not like, okay, tell you the truth, most of parenting in, let's say, in a world today, especially our African setting, the first child is an experiment. They make mistakes with the child, then move to the next one. That's how you find out that most times last borns are spoiled. I'm sorry to say.
Do you want to make up for the others?
Yes, because I tried it with this one, it didn't work. I tried, have your way. Now, how can parents really make this work? Understand that this child evolves. There are 3 stages of parenting. We have the oracle phase. That's the phase parents love so much, where you were at that time, you're 1, 2, don't do it. Okay, daddy. They love it. But the thing is, it doesn't last long. So a time will come, John, do this. Why? And you're like, are you questioning my authority?
Something you've never done before.
Now, the moment you begin to notice that the child is questioning your commands or whatever, suddenly you begin to notice that, hey, this child, your leg don't grow. No! It's a time to switch parenting. In the oracle phase, the oracle is God. The oracle, whatever the oracle says, is law. Most of us, we grow up feeling, oh, my dad is the smartest man in the world. Oh, my dad is this. You had all those wonderful things about your father and your mother. If anybody does, if like look for trouble and somebody wants to beat you, once you see your father or your mother and you go to their back, you know you are safe. The thing is, parents feel this stage is forever, but it doesn't. The moment you begin to notice the child is questioning your authority, is questioning, he's acting, immediately you switch from an oracle to a ruler. Now, a ruler, as a ruler parent, you don't use law. This time you give the child reasons. Okay, like she was saying, I don't want you to have boyfriend. This is why. I don't want you to do this. This is why. now you need to start giving the child 4 major things: the short-term consequences, the short-term gain, the long-term consequences, the long-term gain. Take for example, I don't want you to have a girlfriend. Why? Short-term gain is you go see boobs, you go smooth. Short-term consequence if you don't do it, Jonesing boy. You become the town to you and all that. But what is the long-term consequences when you actually decide to go ahead? You find out that you begin to have repetitive breakups and many things. Why? No, you are entering into a terrain you don't know a glimpse about. So you make mistakes. You have heartbreaks. And I'm sorry to say, the average lady has at least 5 heartbreaks before she's 16.
Wow.
And that's me being modest.
Why are you looking at me?
Okay, so like I was saying. So after now, if you were able to handle that phase, the thing is, this is a phase of teenagehood. But I'm sorry, teenagehood is not 13 years.
Wow.
No. Teenagehood is when immediately you begin to notice this thing. So you can have a 7-year-old child that is a teenager. It's not about the years. It's about
upstairs. That
just child reflecting.
Comes into mental age now.
So
child's mental age.
Yeah, there are three ages of a child: the biological age, the mental
age, and
the
consequential age.
Philosophical age. Okay. Now, let me just round up. So if you're able to handle that phase of teenagehood, the child will divorce you as a parent and employ you as a mentor. So that's why you can find somebody that is 25, 20, still come back to ask their mom or their dad for advice, because their parents were able to transit through that teenagehood phase well. And this is where we miss it as parents. The transition from oracle to mentor.
Ruler.
Most time we miss the ruler phase.
Okay.
And that's where we lose our children.
Wow.
So now you understand why I said I was very concerned about teenagehood.
I see. Oh, okay, we'll just wrap up with this. What are the things you think we should adopt from the parenting of the old and employ them now, and the things that we should do away from this Gen Z parenting and adopt some from the parenting of the old? I think that way we'll have balance parenting.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
It's a broad question.
Okay, the question first is, let me come from this angle. We have a lot of children that are 12 yet look like 25.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, these days you can check a girl, you don't know she's underage.
True.
Because she has grown big.
True.
Why are the children of this age bigger than the children of those age?
Bigger than your parents.
Domina.
I actually did a research on this, and then I didn't find any single answer.
Wow.
And then I began to do my own kind of study. They call it precocious puberty.
Okay.
In those days, we could call it precocious. Means how do I call it? Abnormal puberty.
Okay.
So in those days, it was rare to see a 12-year-old girl that is big. So we could call it precocious. But now it's the norm. It's no longer precocious.
Yeah. Right.
And some of the reasons I feel is, number one, it has a lot to do with our educational system. Many of us, we were 6, 7 before we entered school. There was no rush. But when you start pushing the child at 1, 2, start going to school, start bugging the brain when the brain should be relaxing. Guess what? The body has to follow suit. So the body will grow fast. Also, let's take example of an agric fowl and a
native fowl.
A native fowl, though small, but very wise. But the agric fowl, big but no sense. So why? Because the agric fowl most times is fed with chemicals. So now check the food we eat now. The majorly chemicals, our pastas, our many wonderful snacks. We eat more of junks, and that's why the children are growing faster than their age. The last I will say has to do with our environmental growth. We grew up at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, playing outside, playing with people. You know, we had our childhood, but these days children don't have childhood. They have more of social media. They are now, then we lived in compounds, but now people have their fenced houses. So now the more you're doing nothing, the more you find something which is social media. And you begin to learn things you're not supposed to before time. So guess what? Your body will also replicate it. So what are the things that we need to learn? First thing first, learn to give your children the right kind of food. Many parents are now very, I don't use the word lazy, we are now very taxed with many things. That mom is not at home, dad is not at home. I'm sorry, I some years ago, there was a lady I was actually planning to get married to, but when I had a discussion with her and I asked her, so what's your plan about raising children? She actually works in the bank. I said, well, we will have maids now.
Maids.
No issue with maid. But no, maid can't train my children. No. Okay, what about food? I can eat stale food as long as it's good. But I love to eat my wife's meal. I watched my dad eat my mom's meal. I watched them sit and eat, discuss. And I love that setting. So 2 things that puts me off. Number 1, you're not around to prepare my meals. If you like, prepare it and keep it, let me in the fridge for 1 week, it's fine. Number 2, you want maids to train my children. Maids can't give my children the values. They can't give them my mental prowess. No. I will give, when relating with her, I am passing myself to her, she's passing herself to me. True. And she can replicate both of us in him, in that child. And I can replicate both of us in that child. So, like I was saying, the food we eat, very important. We eat more vegetables then. A lot of vegetables. My dad will come back, buy fruits. These days, when you come back, you buy biscuits. Are you seeing the difference? Our eating pattern has changed. So, in as much as I'm not a full fan of the very hard life, but once in a while I should come in. Like I said, the oracle phase, that phase beats the child. Even the Bible said, beats the child will not die. And even the Bible said, foolishness abounds in the heart of the child, but the rod of correction shall drive it away. So in the oracle phase, you are free to use it.
The child.
But when you notice the child is changing, you can begin to switch or even use both based on the situation.
So if I follow you well, we can incorporate discipline from parenting of the old.
Yes.
Okay. And then
We should also give the child room to explore.
explore.
Yes.
I think that's something from Gen Z parenting.
Yes.
And then we should also adopt eating rights.
Eating right. You may not
From
understand.
parenting of the old. And avoid junk from Gen Z parenting.
A friend of mine was telling me of a colleague of his that he told the school where his parents his children attend that don't ever give my children, I don't want to call the word, but a pasta. I'm sure this is going far beyond our reach, so I don't want to call the exact
Brand,
right? But why? Because he actually worked in the rig, in the oil industry. So most times when he comes back, he finds the easy meals to prepare. You know what the easy meals are,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I won't say it. And over time, it began to affect his body. It began to affect him. The kind of surgery he had to go through. For a while, he can trek from a distance from, let's say, Chuba to Rumokoro, carrying rocks in his bag. All that was to bring him back to shape. He was at a state of close to death. And that's why the day you give my children this thing, I'm taking my child out of the school.
So emphasis on eat right.
That's right.
Eat right. So we'll just call it a wrap on the show. Any advice for Gen Z parenting and advice for parenting of the world? Because some people are still adopting that style now. Why some Gen Z parents? I think there are a lot of things they need to bring back. So I'll start with you, Felix.
I think that while we are raising our children, we should also incorporate the help of the Lord. For those of us that are religious, we should ask for God's guidance. That is the very first thing. Because if the Lord is guiding you, you will know what to do and what not to do. We shouldn't also be too hard on our children. Because if we are too hard on them, they will stray further away from us. You use the right hand to correct, and you use the left to bring back. That's the way I think they put it. But you get the general idea.
Okay. For me, I'll say be your child's friend, so they don't keep another friend from you, and create a relationship where your child can just be themselves around you. They can communicate their fears, their challenges, and just be open-minded. Okay, not that they bring an information to you and be like, so you do this, and then you start flogging the child. You won't hear anything from them further. So be your child's friend, accommodate their excesses, and let's try advice. I think something we should try more, as much as we discipline children.
Okay, let me say yes. Let your children follow the Lord. Very important. But find a way to make it not burdensome.
Okay.
Don't make it burdensome. Let them enjoy serving God. That's one. Then, secondly, I will say this, that a lot of the issues parents have with training children is themselves first. First of all, a lot of parents have baggages they are carrying. And when you don't deal with these baggages, you pour it on your children. So, first of all, you heal.
Okay.
Find out, there's what is called the vote. We don't have time. I would have talked about the vote principle. Just like we have votes in banks, every one of us have votes of our lives, where we have stored many things. And just like someone can store diamond in the vote, someone else can feel banana is his precious jewel and store it in the vote. So many of us have kept many sports things in our heart. And I bet you with that, you will never raise the right child. So find out your own self. Work on yourself, then you can work on your children.
Thank you so much, Mr. Perebo, for being on the show. It's been an amazing, amazing time. I'm sure there's a whole lot you learned or you've learned from this section. And this is Unusual TV Podcast, and this is Behind the Curtain. Stay with us always. Thank you.